Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking Up with Burnout podcast. I am so excited today because my friend Katie is here, and it's been a long time coming for us to record this podcast. We've been talking about it, we've had to reschedule, and I feel like it's just divine timing to show up at this time in this place for us to be together. And I cannot wait to share her with you because she has so much wisdom. She's so awesome. I love what she's doing and what she's creating into the world. And I want you to be a part of that because she has her own burnout story and she's overcoming that. And there's a lot of things that she's passionate about talking about. And yeah, so instead of me talking about it, Katie, welcome.
Thank
Glad
you.
to share. So
Yeah.
tell the people, like, what are you up to in the world and who you are?
Hello, people.
Yeah.
So my name is Katie Gosse. I am a registered social worker, psychotherapist with over 15 years experience. And I specialize those years in helping families, women, and children who were in crisis and focusing on healing in psychotherapy through childhood trauma and different various traumas. And so while I was running my successful private practice and supporting a lot of people in my years, I experienced my own burnout, which is very common. We
Yes.
are trained as social workers to recognize like burnout in the field.
Yeah.
But I don't think I wanted to admit that I
Mhm.
was someone that was going to get the burnout, get the
Right.
compassion fatigue and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I actually stopped my very successful, full blown private practice.
Mm.
I've spent the last 2 years healing, pivoting, recovering,
Yeah.
and growing
Mm.
so that I can live a life that's enjoyable or
Mm.
sustainable and avoid burnout because I want to work. I love helping people. And so I've pivoted into a new career passion, which is called Contemplating Katie. And
Yes.
this is a space for me and my community to explore mental health, our own mental health journeys alongside creative living.
I love that so much. I love that.
You.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love you can use your experience and do something just completely different and fresh and new
Yeah.
and bring that to the world so that it doesn't bring you out, so that it brings you passion. Because things that I talk about a lot with clients and with other people, it's like we got to find that rhythm of what feels good, what are we inspired by, what is also in alignment with our true selves. I was just talking to a client yesterday about that of what are you doing that you feel is your true self.
Ooh, I love that. I love that you brought up what you feel,
Yeah. Mhm.
not like what you think,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because my journey with burnout was very much driven by what I thought
Yeah.
I should be doing,
Yep.
thoughts and pressure of thinking like this is how I should do it.
Yep.
And so much of my journey was overriding my feelings,
Mhm.
not letting them guide me in a way that is good for me. Like that consistent, what I call emotional self neglect,
Yeah.
it that I see that as my biggest contributor to my
Yeah.
burnout.
Yeah, and I feel like that's part of my story too, because we begin losing as helpers. We want to help other people, but in turn, something has told us that like we have to lose ourselves in the process of helping other people.
Yeah, we're somewhere in our upbringing, we've adopted or have aligned with the belief that our wants and our needs and the way that we would do it isn't like the right or
Yeah.
the good way, or it's not something that we should be using as our main compass.
Right. Yeah. And we try to fit into boxes that our culture creates for us that's acceptable.
Oof.
And it just in turn, like you said, we're neglecting ourselves, but even deeper, the deeper piece of it is like that in neglecting those emotions, which in turn neglects even like our body because our
Yeah,
body experiences those emotions. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that.
sure. Yeah. So our emotions are actually a physical energy that we can experience in our body. And often sadness is described as like a bubbling up or like a wave of grief, like a waving feeling energy. Anger is like usually a heat or like an intense strength, not like a tension, like you're squeezing your muscles, but like a strong, powerful presence. That's
Yeah.
from anger. And then joy would be light and up and all of these things. So I typically, to keep emotions simple, say that you're either sad, mad, or glad. Like
Mhm.
almost every emotion can fit into one of those categories. And then there's guilt.
Yeah.
Guilt's its own thing.
Yeah.
If you're those emotions are always there to help us, and they're only for us. Our emotions are for us, and so when they come up and we have a pattern of defense mechanisms that wants to keep them out of our awareness or our
Yeah.
consciousness, then they have to go somewhere else in the
Mhm.
body. They
Yeah.
have to go down. So emotions want to come up and out, and when they're allowed to do that, then that's their healthy course. But
Yeah.
if we're using defense mechanisms to keep them from coming up and out, energy has to go somewhere else. And so then we can get muscle tension, we can get stomach aches, we can get headaches, we can get symptoms related to our digestion, we
Mhm.
can start to dissociate. So there's lots of health risks,
Yes.
physical health risks when
Yeah.
we ignore and suppress our emotions.
Yeah. What are some of the ways that you began to recognize in one, like the emotions that were stuck, but
Mhm.
also like just those beginning things that you're like, okay, I need to move these through, but what do I do or how do I do that?
The first step is like huge in the sense of that you have to get on board yourself with that what you're doing is not working
Yeah.
and getting out of blame and victim mode and taking what I like to call radical responsibility
Yeah.
over what is going on in your life and your emotions. It's a hard pill to swallow, but when you allow yourself to say, it is no one's fault, but I don't even want to use blame, but it
Yeah.
is no one's responsibility but mine to
Mm,
take care of this. If I expect other people to change so that I can be better, I will be sitting and waiting. My
yeah.
whole will be hurt and angry and disappointed for the rest of my life. That was the big game changer that I was waiting for people to save me. I was
Mm,
like, "Oh, if my family just was different this way, my
mm,
friends just called me more, or if I just" so it's all external, and as soon as you are willing to acknowledge that, "Okay, this is me, this is
mm,
my problem, and I'm the only one that can do
yeah.
anything about it."
Yeah. That is so good because often we can, and it's easy to say it's not me, it's them. It's
And you
my,
know what? There's some truth to it too, right?
very,
Because
yeah.
if
Uh-huh.
this is why it's so sneaky, because if you have been a victim of abuse or mistreatment or neglect, these types of things, that is the reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But they did this to me.
That's so funny because we're on the same wavelength. 'Cause I was thinking that too, like in my story and in other people's that I've heard too. It's like we've experienced interaction with other people
Yeah.
that have not been great. And it's easy to blame other people. But
So, yeah, staying in victim mode
yeah,
of blaming other
yeah,
people is It's the opposite side of radical responsibility. I
Yeah.
see these kind of two as the spectrum, like
Yeah.
victim versus radical responsibility. The
Yes.
more you stay in victim mode, which is a lot of blame and external things,
Yes.
you won't heal. Or I shouldn't say you won't heal, but it will be very difficult for you to heal.
Yeah, because people don't change. Some people don't change, or they don't know. There's not an awareness there for them, or we can't control other people
Yeah.
either. I
And you
talk
know,
a lot about that, a lot, and I think about that with myself too. It's like how navigating those relationships of knowing that other person may not change. So are you waiting for them to change for you to heal and things to get better?
yeah.
Or can we, like you said, take radical responsibility and make the changes ourselves? Which, like you said, is a hard pill to swallow sometimes because I got to turn and look at myself. Like, how have I contributed to
Yeah.
this situation? How have I contributed to the burnout?
Yeah, and when I was counseling clients, that was always the hardest pill to swallow doing trauma therapy
Yeah.
because it you want to stay in that mode of they did this to me, but
Right.
the where your healing can truly begin is to say, this is how I chose, even as a like infant or a 3-year-old or a teenager who doesn't have fully formed development and all this stuff. It's it's hard, but it's very important. So this is how I chose to respond, or this is how my body and my system responded to
Mhm.
these stressors. And because everyone responds different to trauma.
Yeah.
So now I have to find a different way to respond to and heal from this trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you feel that response or maybe even lack of response is that overriding like self-neglect, like we were mentioning earlier? Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when we're in victim mode and we are like focused on other people changing to make things better for us, we're neglecting ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because we're not looking at ourselves, we're not saying, okay, what do I need? I help myself. What's important for me? What emotions are coming up that I can take care of myself and go to people that are safe, that are supportive, that can be present with
Yeah.
me in my emotion. And so the self-neglect piece is the emotional self-neglect piece is so common in individuals who experience burnout. And it's very common in psychotherapists and other helping professions
Mhm.
because we are so used or we adapted or been conditioned or taught to be attuned to other people's
Yes.
wants and needs.
Yeah.
Freaking good at it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We are to our detriment. It's like I always say, our superpowers to an extreme are our weaknesses.
That's so yes.
And so we are so good at it. And yet it can be our demise.
Yeah, exactly. And navigating that balance is very personal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
I think too, when I was being in a high performance role running my private practice with intense trauma work, I was constantly comparing myself to other social workers that weren't
Mhm.
feeling so tired or who could do 3 more patients a day than me or would work on the weekends. And I'd be like, why can't I do that? Why can't there's just my capacity wasn't there. And I would make myself feel bad about that. And so
Yep.
I would be comparing myself saying, I should be performing. Performing is a big one. I should be performing the way that they are. And so instead of honoring my I now learned that my, like, productive zone is pretty much between 11 and 6
Mhm.
during the day,
Yeah.
and I can, like, boom, bang out work. But instead of honoring that and then usually the next day, I need a bit of a rest day after
Yeah.
I'm back on high productivity.
Yeah.
Instead of honoring that, I should do 3 in the morning. I should do 3 in the afternoon. I could do 2 in the evening. And
Mhm.
like, I'll take and you just force yourself, you override
Yeah.
the cues,
Mm.
natural energy and rhythms and flows.
Mhm.
This is it. Like this is something that as I've gone through burnout and I'm still recovering, I feel like recovery is a journey. It's not that you've recovered.
I would agree because I feel like as it's been several years for me too, and I still feel like I'm in recovery
Yeah.
because it's easy to ignore these cues. It's socially acceptable to ignore the cues. It's
Yeah.
not something that
Courage.
yeah, it takes courage to look at it, and it takes courage to say no and set those boundaries and do all those things. And so it's like we have to rewire our brains, like talking about the neuroscience, like we built patterns that in our brains and our bodies that led to burnout. So we have to rewire our entire system. Not that
Yeah.
it's overwhelming to do that, but the reality of it, it takes time for our body and our brains to adjust to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that you just said that because if you are at risk of burnout, have experienced burnout,
Yeah.
probably struggle with perfectionism. And then
Yes.
that perfection can even come into your recovery.
Yes.
Be like, you should heal fast. Why is it taking so long? And you should be having like,
I
it
got to
can
do all the things.
yeah, and so even as you're like as I'm slowly coming back into more full-time I won't even say full-time because my creative flow is its own entity. That's just like when it's there and you just, "All right, we're going."
Yeah.
So drop everything we're creating.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that I'm going more into a work role, which I feel excited about, I'm like still battling that perfectionism.
Yeah.
And that overriding system that says, "Oh, you're gonna offer services? Oh, you should be doing it at 9 o'clock in the morning." But what I just said is that my genius zone is like 11 a.m. earliest. Why would I do that? I'm still battling that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's what we've been conditioned. This is what we gotta do to make money. That even goes into the, like, conversation of swapping time for money, which a lot
Yeah.
of people it's very normal
Yep.
for 9 to 5 is very normal for a lot of people, and what I've realized that and what you have too, what you just said, like, it doesn't work for me. Like, it was a cause of burnout. I remember
Yeah.
'cause it was at one time, I was contracting for an agency where I set my schedule versus I stepped into a role, like a director role, and I had to go back to the 9 to 5. And I was like, I never got used to it. I'll get used to it. I'm trying really hard, but it's like I miss having my like longer lunch breaks, or if I needed to take a nap
Yes.
in the morning, or if I needed to sleep in because I had a headache or something was going on. Uh,
Yeah. Tiffany, I have a question for you with that.
yeah,
So, like for your listeners, right? We're self-employed. We get
yeah,
to make our own schedule. And so
mhm,
we can battle that pressure, but we also have the option to like not book in the 9 to 5. But like you're just talking about, some people don't have that freedom and
yeah,
flexibility in their workplace.
mm,
So I'm wondering
yeah,
what you would suggest
yeah,
for them.
yeah. So I talk a lot about micro moments of wellness. So it's really, there's so much to say about it. So I'm like gathering my words, but
You're like, Katie, I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
no, 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 this is really good. This is really good. 'Cause I teach this all the time, and I was just re-listening to a podcast episode that I did that's called Micro Moments of Wellness, and I'm like, "I think I need to update it because 'cause I've learned a lot more about it for myself and for other people."
Cool.
And it's really taking those moments to relieve that pressure valve because burnout and its definition, and this is from, Dr. Levitt from the Mayo Clinic, burnout is unresolved chronic stress.
Ooh.
And so
Unresolved chronic stress.
yeah. And so we need to release the pressure valve of stress in our everyday lives. And we may not have time like you and I have a little bit more flexibility with time. And so I tell people 10 seconds is a really great deep breath. using our breath is one of the easiest and most underrated tools that we can use to regulate our nervous system, but also release that pressure valve. And
Yeah.
I always say too, we always have to go to the bathroom. I know nurses often like hold it through the whole shift. I never understood that. Or people that work in the hospital setting, I'm like, that is not
Yes.
your body to do that.
I worked
Which
in child protection and I wouldn't go to the bathroom for the whole day. It was really intense.
yeah, and so I always say we have to go to the bathroom at some point. Take your breaths while you're going to the bathroom. Relieve as you're walking, shake it out, whatever you need to do. And so
Okay.
discovering
Yeah.
those moments for yourself throughout the day and implement a few of them. Then they don't have to be extravagant things. They can be really small
That's
things.
that all or nothing thinking, right? Oh, I
Yeah.
have to quit
Yeah.
my job. I have to be
Yeah.
self-employed so that I don't burn out. And that's not
Right.
true.
No,
That's
it's not
all that
true.
all or nothing thinking is also another contributor.
Right. And I was gonna say it just happened for us that we did step out of, both of us have
Yeah.
stepped out of jobs to have that flexibility. But I think looking back, if I had like myself or yourself, I don't know if I would have left necessarily because with
Right.
the tools that I have now, even though I know this is the journey that God has me on, but I contemplate that all a lot. Like what decisions would I
Contemplating Tiffany.
yeah, I think about that a lot because I'm like, I wonder if I had the tools that I have now, would I have one been as burnt out as I was? And or would I have made the choices that I made in jobs?
Yeah. And while I love that type of reflective thinking,
Yeah,
it's don't get stuck
right.
in thinking, oh, if I had this, things would have been different because
Mhm.
I'm actually very grateful for my burnout.
Yeah, I am
Like,
too.
there's a little saying, it's don't rob someone of their rock bottom,
Yeah. Oh, that's
right?
good. Mhm.
Yeah. Don't like that's a codependent that's saving someone who's always anyway.
Yeah.
If I hadn't, I feel like God very much stopped me. Like I just one day woke up with a really massive panic attack. And
Mm.
I was going to be expanding my private practice. Like I was going to be doing more.
Yeah.
And God was like, nope.
Nope.
And I was like,
Mm.
"What?" And within a couple months, I closed my practice and was
Yeah.
off. I closed my practice. I sold my condo. I moved into my parents' basement, 30, I want to say maybe 35, 36 years
Mm.
old.
Yeah.
This is not where I wanted to be in my
Right.
mid 30s.
Yeah.
But I just like, and I was fighting that perception. I think it just took so long because of those expectations. Like I said, we
Yep.
think this
Yes.
is how our
Yep.
life should be, this is how our life should look. And so I was like, I can't be in this position. But ultimately, like that burnout was the hardest and most liberating healing of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's not working, it's not working. And acknowledging that, being willing to make the shifts and the changes.
Yeah. And knowing that it's not, there's nothing wrong with you. That was a big thought that I had to work through of like, why can't I get it together to do this job?
So why can't I just do it?
Yeah. Why can't I just push through? Why is my body breaking down? Like that's that high achiever slash perfectionist mentality of like, why, what is wrong with?
Yeah. And like the shame,
Yes. Yeah.
it's so heavy. And those thoughts feel
Mhm.
so real. Those
Yeah.
thoughts of like, why can't you? You should be able to. All of that pressure that you're putting on yourself. Actually, I sent you a picture. So I've been what I call a repressed creative. When people are like, "Are you creative?" I was like, "No, like I'm not part of my body." Meanwhile, I'm like writing poetry,
Mhm.
drawing, dancing, and I'm like, "No, I'm not creative." But I was going through some of my old journals and I sent you a picture of
Mhm.
something that I drew, and it was like a wet cloth being squeezed by a hand, and it
Yeah.
was like every last drop. And I was like, I was drawing and expressing myself creatively that I was completely burnt out. Everything was getting squeezed
Yeah.
out of me. And that's what was coming out of me. And I was like, I need to go to work.
Yeah.
I should be doing this. Talk about overriding your cues,
Yeah.
your like neglecting my needs to be like, to be refueled, to rest, to
Yeah.
not be productive and giving from empty cup.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a similar journey too. And now I'm more like relearning and rediscovering poetry too for myself. And I write it on the Substack that we have because I too, it's funny you say that because I used to say, no, I'm not creative. I'm a helper, but I'm not creative. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I used to be in music and dance and all this
Mm.
kind of stuff through school. And so I feel like I was ignoring that side of me because I was putting my profession first. Or like I had to have it.
Wow.
And I still
Yeah.
I love helping people. And so when I found social work, it's okay, yeah, like I can do this. But for in some reason in my mind, I was like, I have to do this over that.
Yeah, because we've been inundated with the starving artist
Yeah.
or like the painter who doesn't, what good is art? It's such a value, like it's such a bias up
Yes.
against
Yeah.
art. Like we're as children pushed into, oh, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a fireman, like these types of roles.
Yeah.
And so the creative part has been with us since birth. Like children are just so often, if you watch them, just so free in their creativity. And I want to redefine creativity because that is something that's been important for me too in my recovery. And this is something that I explore a lot in contemplating Katie on my blogs and my poetry and stuff, is that creativity isn't painting.
You're right.
Creativity isn't choreography or
Mhm.
poetry.
Mhm.
Creativity is creative living, and it's a way of being connected to what's inside of you
Mhm.
through thoughts, feelings, emotions, experiences. It's what's coming up inside of you that wants to come up and out and be a part of the world. So creativity can look like a business strategy,
Yeah. Yeah.
like a new and different way of creating like new leads or something. Creativity can look like even like math and science. It's like you think about science, like in nature, exploring creation, these types
Yeah.
of things, right? Like
Yeah.
creating new ways of equations for different answers, right? About being connected to what's inside of you, allowing that to become out into creation, to be created into reality. And that for me is creative living.
Yeah. That is so good. That is so good. I love it. I know. I saw your face perk up too, and I was like, "Look at her go! Look at it!
Like,
So good."
yes, yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's what contemplating Katie like
Yeah.
really explores is creative living. And what that means is being connected to your emotions,
Yes.
allowing your ideas to have space,
Mhm.
whether they're a hit or a miss. It's not really about how people are going to respond to you. It's
Right.
actually about being so attuned and connected to yourself that you know this is the next thing that's coming out of me. And maybe that's not the idea that hits or brings all the money or success or those other things. But that's the next step because if you do that, then the next step comes, and that could be the big thing that hits it for you, hits it for your
Yeah.
services, makes you feel really proud of your work, all these things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like of humanity, part of our purpose on this earth is to create whatever that is.
I completely
And
agree.
and like you said, it could be whatever avenue. It doesn't have to be in the quote like traditional perceived creative roles. It's like what
Creative arts. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. It's being like you said, I love what you said about being so in tune to yourself. Like and this is just coming out of you. This,
Yeah.
whether it's an idea or innovation or it is art or whatever it is, like we have that within us.
Yeah. And you know what's really interesting, what I'm learning as I'm trying to be more predominantly like in creative living
Yeah.
is how much the role of rest actually produces the creativity.
Yeah.
I can give
Yeah.
you an example.
Yeah. Give the example.
So I went away this weekend because I'm planning a mastermind for January 2026. Getaway. I called it my like disconnect to reconnect and create weekend. So my connect and create weekend. And here comes perfectionism in the car with me as I'm driving up north to get away. And you got to do this, and this has to come in. And if you, this is your weekend, and only you this time, right? And I was like, well, I realized that as soon as I worked through a wave of creativity, I wanted it to keep going. I was like, no, like, let's just keep going. I need the next couple months of planning, but I only got 3. And so I recognized that was happening. And I said, oh, we're not going to force this.
Yes. Yeah.
There's that opportunity to shift from overriding.
Mhm.
Okay, the flow is gone. Now I'm expecting me to do everything and to make it happen and to
Mhm.
force.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to rest. And it was really hard. And I
Yeah.
turned on an episode of this podcast called The Giggly Squad because it's just so funny. And I was like, I just gotta chill.
Yeah.
And I took a nap after the Giggly Squad. And I woke up, in that like weird state of like pre-consciousness, like as you're
Yeah.
waking up, I was just flooded with this beautiful idea and to make a postcard subscription for my people
Yeah.
where I like for a monthly subscription, I'll send you a postcard of my creative art, watercolor, photography, collage,
Mhm.
whatever sparked my inspiration that month with an encouraging message on the back, and you get that and so I woke up with that. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, I was in this moment of you gotta force and you gotta plan and make this happen. And I took a pause and I said, no, let's get out of this brain space. Let's rest. And then I woke up and then I made a piece of art for 3 or 4 hours. Like I just went from that nap into that zone.
Yeah.
And now I have my first postcard for my subscription.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I love that so much because I think it's very normal that that perfectionist mentality of you gotta produce, you gotta be productive, you gotta like turn creativity on. And the
Yeah.
reality is like we can't.
No.
We can't force it. Like it will come when we set the environment like you did. We set the environment,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
rest it to allow it to come. All this forcing energy and thoughts and stuff like really repel. Rep-
Yes. It's
Uh,
so true. Yeah. And it's like you said, creating that environment. So you can create intention and you can create space
yeah.
so that it's more welcome there.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think that's different than forcing because it's not, oh, just take naps and
Right.
expect that creativity is going to come every time you wake up. It's like setting an intention to say, okay, I'm here. I'm going to rest and I'm going to flow. And when you come, I'm going to be there to be your scribe or be your paintbrush or you. I like this idea of creativity being completely separate from the artist. It's
Yeah.
actually, I'm a Christian, so I would say I'm getting it from God.
Mhm.
Other people that don't subscribe to Christianity, they see it as like a spirit or an inspiration or something else. You can
Right.
call it what you want to call it, but
Yeah.
it's something that isn't you. And I think
Right.
that removes so much pressure.
Yeah.
Like it just comes to you. It's a gift and you can't make it happen.
Right.
And even it's a relief, like you don't take ownership over
Right.
it either. It's just a
Right.
gift that you're the channel, you're
Yeah.
passing it through.
Yeah. No, I love that so much. I needed to hear this today from you. I think I was stuck in that expectation of having to create and just like coming back from our vacation and like
Mm,
adjusting and all of that. I got to hit the ground running because
right.
I've been fighting that mentality of no, divine timing, creating space, creating that intention for it, and then things do come. They will come. Okay, Katie,
Totally.
we can totally talk all day long.
Forever, huh?
Forever. We'll stop there to wrap this up and tell our friends where they can find you, how they can get involved, how can they partake in contemplating Katie.
Yes, thank you. I am so grateful for every single one of my connections online, my followers, if you read my blog. So thank you so much just in advance. Every single one means so much to me. And so if you have connected with some of my journey and what I've shared, I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram, and it's at contemplating Katie. My website, which has my blog and will be updated regarding January's 2026 mastermind and the postcard subscription and upcoming workshops that I'm going to be hosting, including free lives coming up on subjects like this. You can go to www.contemplatingkatie.com. And ultimately, I hope that when you engage with my content, my workshops and what I'm offering is that it inspires you to contemplate yourself
Mm.
in a way that makes you feel more connected, attuned, and authentic so that you can create the life that feels really good and right for you.
Yeah, I love that so much. We will link all of her things in the show notes as well. So you can just go ahead and scroll down and click when you're done, or you can stop right now and do that and go ahead and make sure you follow Katie. Katie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I definitely want to come back on.
Yes, we will.
Letting it now because it'll be 6 months before.
Yeah, we will definitely do that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in today to the Breaking Up with Burnout podcast. We will see you next time.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.